Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Fantini and I started working at Enapter 3 months ago, and I'm a research and development test engineer from the United States, Boston, Massachusetts. So my role is to test device functionality, design solutions, and communicate findings. So I'll begin. Oh. Okay, so I'm not sure which slide you can see, but I'll begin by telling you a bit about when I first learned about global warming. I was 7 years old and I watched Al Gore's movie, An Inconvenient Truth, with my family. After, I panicked and I asked my parents, what can I do to help? And they told me that I could turn off the lights every time I left my room. And so that's what I did. And also, next day at school, I asked my teacher if I could present to the whole class to warn the other kids about global warming. And I told them all what I've learned from Al Gore's movie, and I told them to turn off the lights at home. And every time I went to the department store in the lamp section, I would turn off all the lights. So as I grew older, I got an education, and now I'm trying to make more of a difference with my education and the work I do. And so I got my bachelor's degree in engineering physics at Tufts University, and I have my master's in electrical engineering. And I worked on several different projects. And for example, in the plasma engineering lab, I did my master's research, where I worked to advance metamaterial technology to create a frequency selective filter. I also worked in a renewable energy and applied photonics lab, where I implemented a photoluminescence optical setup to characterize photovoltaic cells fabricated in the lab. In Spain, I worked for 6 months on an internship where I worked on improving a prototype design of a farming rover that could monitor plant development using machine learning and could remove weeds from the soil. And then I worked for some time at a startup company, part-time, as an electrical design engineer, where I helped make a prototype of a sensor to monitor building health. So this is the research and development testing team. There's left to right, there's Vito, the leader, Alessandro, who works a lot on dryers, which is another one of the devices we sell. Max, he also works with customer service. Myself, and Leonardo, who's the lab technician. So a typical day, every day is different, but typically the day starts off with a morning meeting where we all say in the engineering team what we will be doing that day. Then the morning I sometimes spend setting up the electrolyzer and dryer for firmware tests later on. So earlier I mentioned that software is an important part in our system. So I help test that software to make sure it works with our electrolyzers and dryers. Then I have lunch. And then in the afternoon, I'll do something such as testing the conductivity sensor. So also, as Mauro mentioned before, in our electrolyzers, we have to make sure that the water coming in has a conductivity of less than 20 microsiemens per centimeter. So we have a conductivity sensor and we're working to improve it. And then later in the afternoon, I test the dry and firmware by talking to the software team in Russia. So here there's a picture of Tatiana Yugaj, who I work with a lot. And so we test the firmware together. And then I end the day by writing the reports and findings on tests on the day. So just to talk a bit more about the conductivity sensor, we also need it for another device we have, a multi-core. So the main task here in developing this conductivity sensor is how can we change the sensor itself, the probe, the material that it's made up of, and also how can we change the circuit so that it can continuously measure the conductivity of a solution over a long period of time. So that's what I'm working on. And I hope that I can make more of a difference than just turning off all the lamps in a department store. So thank you very much. That's all.